My wife, Isabella, has lost her memory. The strange thing is, the only person she has completely forgotten is me. She immediately got back together with her old boyfriend from the past and asked me for a divorce. I was incredibly happy about this. We had signed a legal agreement after we got married. It said very clearly that if she was unfaithful to me, I would receive half of all her assets. I said to myself, let's do this. I knew I would be a fool not to take this opportunity. To me, having a lot of money is much more important than being in love. However, everyone always told me that she loved me very much. I was playing cards with my friends when I received the news about Isabella's car accident. Her assistant called me and said, "Mr. Thorne, I have some bad news. Miss Black was in a car accident." A look of joy appeared on my face. I asked, "Is she dead?" The assistant replied, "Not yet." I felt a little bit disappointed to hear that. "Well," I said, "call me back when she is." "What?" the assistant asked, confused. I hung up the phone before her assistant could say anything else. A few minutes later, she called me back. Her voice sounded very serious this time. She said, "Mr. Thorne, the situation is a bit complicated. I think you should come to the hospital and see for yourself." When I arrived at the hospital, I found out that Isabella had amnesia. She remembered everyone in her life except for me. As for the reason she crashed her car, all I can say is that she brought it on herself. Her old boyfriend, Lucas, had finally returned to the country that day. She was on her way to the airport to pick him up when the accident happened. Right now, Lucas was holding Isabella's arm. His eyes were red from crying, and his voice sounded like he was very emotional. He said, "It is all my fault. I never should have let you come to get me." Isabella gently wiped away the tears from his face. She said, "Lucas, please don't cry. It breaks my heart to see you crying like this." I rushed over to the bed, pretending to be very concerned. "Isabella, are you okay? I was so worried when I heard about the accident." In my head, I added silently, "I was worried that you didn't die." Isabella's perfect eyebrows came together in a frown. She looked me up and down, and it was clear she was not impressed by what she saw. She asked, "You are my husband?" I nodded my head yes. She slowly spoke 2 words. "Let's divorce." This incredible news made me feel dizzy with excitement. If we divorced, wouldn't that mean half of Isabella's massive fortune would belong to me? You see, the year before last, Isabella had this crazy idea and made me sign a property agreement. The agreement stated very clearly that if one of us became the person at fault in the marriage, the other person would get half of their assets in the divorce settlement. Her asking for a divorce right now to be with another man meant that half of her billions of dollars would soon be mine. Isabella was such an angel. I felt like I could die of happiness. She said to me in a cold voice, "My heart only has room for Lucas. Now that he is back, you should move out of the way for him." Lucas shot me a look of triumph, acting like a king returning to his throne while I was just a lowly servant. My voice was shaking, but it was shaking with joy. I confirmed with her again and again. "Do you really want a divorce?" Isabella's voice became deeper. "Are you not willing to do it?" Willing? Of course I was willing. If the city hall wasn't already closed for the night, I would pull the needle out of her arm right now, push her wheelchair myself, and race over there. I had to get this divorce finalized today no matter what happened. But as happy as I was, I still had to put on a show. As a dedicated actor, I had to play my part until the very end. I dug my fingernails into the palm of my hand so that my eyes would instantly turn red. I put on a pained expression, as if I understood but was hurt. "Isabella, you know that I love you very much, but I would do anything to make you happy." Isabella's expression became slightly softer. "All right, you can go now. Lucas is here to take care of me," I asked, pretending to be worried. "Can Lucas really take care of you properly?" Lucas made a scoffing sound. "It is just taking care of someone. James, you are underestimating me." With that, Lucas poured Isabella a glass of water. "Isabella, you wanted some hot water, right? Here you go." Isabella took a sip, and in the next second, her face changed completely. It must have burned her mouth because she spat it all out. Lucas couldn't move out of the way in time and got sprayed with the water. I watched them with a smile on my face. Seeing Lucas taking such good care of her really made me feel at ease. I got into the elevator, and Lucas followed me in. He walked around proudly like a rooster that had won a fight. "James Thorne, you must hate me right now, don't you?" "Hate him? How could I hate him?" Tonton. I couldn't thank him enough. My dream of becoming the youngest billionaire in the country was all in his hands. When I didn't answer him, he took it as a yes and sighed. "What can I say? Isabella is just so deeply in love with me. Don't worry. Once you are gone, I will take good care of her for you. I am counting on you." I just stared at him. Lucas froze. This wasn't how the script in his head was supposed to go. Then he broke into a smile. "James, keep pretending. I know you must be dying inside. Isabella is a high society heiress that every man wants." I wasn't bothered by his words. Once I divorced Isabella and became a billionaire, I would be the most popular bachelor in town. As for that difficult woman Isabella, whoever wanted her could have her. As a thank you gift, I sent Lucas the 100-page guide I had written on how to take care of Isabella. Lucas opened the document on his phone, glanced at it, and froze. "You are kidding me, right? Isabella is gentle and has good manners. How could she be this hard to take care of?" I smiled. "Why don't you try it and find out?" The year before last, Isabella was in another car accident. She was seriously injured and had to stay in bed for 3 solid months. Speaking of which, she has some seriously bad luck. Other CEOs get stomach ulcers from stress, but she gets car accidents. One wrong move and it is game over. At the time, she was investing in a show that I was directing and starring in. One good turn deserves another, so I took care of her for 3 months. And in those 3 months, I learned exactly how high maintenance she was. For starters, her water had to be exactly 37 degrees Celsius. She said it was easier to absorb and better for her stomach. After taking care of her, she gained 1 pound while I lost 3. Not long after she was discharged from the hospital, she made me sign that property agreement. It was written in black and white that whoever cheated would have to give the other person half of their assets. Now that she has amnesia, she has probably forgotten all about the agreement we signed. All I have to do now is wait for the divorce and become a happy billionaire. As for Isabella, since Lucas likes her so much, he can have her. When they get married, I will have to send him a huge gift to thank him. The first thing I did was share the amazing news with my best friend, Dave. Dave listened to me and said with relief, "It is a good thing you never got emotionally invested in Isabella from the start." My marriage to Isabella was a business arrangement. In the beginning, she was in love with my stepbrother, Lucas. But then Lucas went abroad with no date set for his return. Isabella was getting older, and her family was pressuring her to get married, so she set her sights on me. I look a little bit like my stepbrother. She could use me as a stand-in. Look at my face, and think of him. Conveniently, I had just lost a leading role to an actor who had a rich supporter. My family was no help. My stepfather kept a tight grip on the money. If Isabella was willing to invest in my show, my role as the male lead would be secure. So we got along well and got married. And just like that, Isabella used me as a substitute for her old flame. And I used her as my rich supporter. We lived peacefully for 3 years, pretending to be a loving couple. After 3 years of marriage, it would be a lie to say I had 0 feelings for her. If you asked me how much I felt, I would say I loved her most when she was cheerfully funding my movies and TV shows. So yes, there were some feelings, but not many. To celebrate me becoming a future billionaire, Dave immediately ordered 10 models to come over so I could experience the good life. A sweet-looking girl smiled at me. "What do you want to play, handsome?" I asked back. "What can you play?" Another girl, a more sophisticated type, replied, "We can play anything. It just depends on what you are in the mood for." I got excited. "Great, let's play werewolf." I had been wanting to play the game werewolf for a long time. But I could never get enough people together. With about 10 of us now, it was perfect. The sweet-looking girl froze. Play werewolf?" I frowned at her. "Didn't you say you could play anything?" The sophisticated one quickly smiled apologetically. We can. Whatever you like, handsome." So So I spent the whole night playing werewolf with the girls. When I drew a villager card, the girls protected me fiercely. When I drew a werewolf card, they covered for me relentlessly. Whichever team I was on, we won. The girls were beautiful and sweet, showering me with compliments like, "You are so smart, handsome, and wow, you are amazing." I was very happy. Being rich is awesome. If I didn't have to get up early tomorrow to divorce Isabella, I would have played werewolf with them all night long. Time point. When I went to the hospital early the next morning, I ran into her assistant who was there to visit. Her assistant saw me and looked relieved. "Mr. Thorne, you are here so early. I knew you still had feelings for Miss Black." I smiled brightly. "Of course. When it comes to divorce, the sooner the better." The moment the county office opened, I pushed Isabella's wheelchair and dashed inside. Every second I delayed was a sign of disrespect to our property settlement. "What? You and Miss Black are getting a divorce?" The assistant was stunned. I almost forgot. She saw me go into the hospital room last night and then went home to rest, so she had no idea what had happened between Isabella and me. I smiled. "Congratulations. Your company is about to get a new boss's husband." I went inside, leaving the assistant standing there in a daze. "Are ye?" Still processing what I had just said. When I got to the hospital room, Isabella was already awake. The moment I walked in, her icy gaze landed on me. She made a rude noise. "You have the nerve to show your face here again." I was completely confused. It wasn't until Isabella threw a stack of photos of me with the 10 models on the bed that I understood why she was angry. Lucas was standing nearby, a smirk on his face, clearly enjoying the show. I figured it out immediately. Lucas must have sent someone to take those pictures and show them to Isabella. Given Isabella's current cold attitude, she wouldn't normally care where I was last night. I thought to myself, nice one, Lucas. Seeing these photos would probably make Isabella want to divorce me even more. Isabella said coldly, "You certainly had a good time." I shot back. "Tub." Full of righteousness, "Isabella, you have Lucas, don't you? What right do you have to blame me?" "But you were with 10 women," Isabella stressed, "while I was in the hospital after a car crash." Her voice sounded strangely hurt. Without thinking, I said, "Then you should find another 9 guys." The moment the words left my mouth, Isabella's face darkened. So did Lucas's. Isabella seemed furious, her chest moving up and down. After a long moment, she finally spoke. "Do you have anything else to say about what happened last night?" I asked cautiously. "So, are we still getting divorced?" Isabella's face turned completely dark. A deep suspicion formed in her mind. "But they said you loved me so much." "I do, of course I do," I said. "But you know what they say, if you love someone, you have to set them free." I clutched my chest with my hand and frowned. "You have no idea how much it pains me to make this decision." Isabella scoffed. "I really can't tell." This woman was so demanding. I was letting her go freely, and she was still unhappy. "How about this then? I won't divorce you. Let's just keep this relationship going. As for you, Lucas, please get out of our lives. Isabella is my wife. Don't you have a wife of your own? Why are you trying to steal mine?" Lucas, who had been enjoying the show, completely lost his cool now that he was being attacked. His face turned pale, and he gave me a guilty look before shouting, "No!" Lucas knelt down, holding Isabella's hand, and cried, "Isabella, we have already lost 3 years. Can you bear to lose another 3? Isabella's face, which was colder than ice, instantly melted. "Don't cry. I never said I wouldn't get a divorce." Lucas's tears turned to a smile. "I knew you still had me in your heart." I silently added, "I knew Lucas wouldn't let me down. This was a drama involving 3 people, and I wasn't about to let Isabella and Lucas control the plot." I said coldly, "Lucas, Isabella may be willing to divorce, but I never said I was." As soon as I said it, I saw Isabella's lips curl into a satisfied smile, as if to say, "See? You do have feelings for me." I was confused. What was she so satisfied about? If I didn't agree to the divorce, she couldn't be with Lucas. How could she throw away her true love just for the sake of her pride? Her lack of devotion to love was very disappointing. Lucas was stunned. "But you agreed so readily yesterday." "That was for the sake of half of Isabella's fortune. It had nothing to do with him. If Lucas was determined to make things difficult for me, then I had to cause some trouble for him too." Lucas knew the problem was with him. He pulled me into the stairwell. "All right. What will it take for you to divorce Isabella?" "I remember, after my mother passed away, your mother took all the valuable watches and antiques my mother left behind." Before I could finish, Lucas immediately said, "No problem. I will sneak them out and give them back to you." I glanced at him. What a sweet, caring boy, filled with bad intentions. "And the pictures from yesterday," I added. Lucas took out his phone and promptly deleted all the photos. 3 hours later, Lucas reappeared before me with a large box. I checked it. All of my mother's belongings were inside. "Can we go get the divorce now?" he asked. "Let's go." I pushed Isabella's wheelchair into the county clerk's office. I must have been smiling too brightly because the clerk thought we were there to get married. "Hi, the marriage license line is over here?" "I am in the right place. I am here for a divorce." The clerk was surprised, probably wondering why this man was happier than a newlywed on his wedding day. We got to the window. The clerk asked, "Are you sure you want to get a divorce?" "Yes." "Well, the thing is, there is now a 1-month cooling-off period for divorces." The smile froze on my face. "When did that policy start?" "Just last year." I sighed deeply. Why couldn't Isabella have gotten into her car accident a year ago? A low, angry voice sounded in my ear. "What did you say?" "Oops. Did I just say my inside thoughts out loud?" I played dumb. "Did I say something? You must be imagining things. Let's go back. You need to rest. You can't be out and about for so long." Isabella's gaze was filled with a faint resentment. It was as if she were saying that when I had dragged her out of her hospital bed and pulled out her needle, I hadn't seemed so concerned. Unlike the cheerful man who had eagerly gone to get divorced, I was very sad on the way back, my face a mask of gloom. When I got home, I had no appetite. I said to Mrs. Gable, "Could you make me a bowl of sweet rice ball soup?" Lucas suddenly came downstairs, looking down on me like he was the man of the house. "Mrs. Gable, don't make anything for him. Keep an eye on the bird's nest soup I asked you to prepare." I raised an eyebrow. "Lucas, what are you doing in my house?" Lucas crossed his arms and sneered. "Your house? You and Isabella are divorced. This is about to become our house." He looked around, his tone criticals. "What is this decorating taste? Tomorrow I am throwing out all these ugly decorations." I didn't have the heart to tell him that Isabella had been in charge of decorating the villa. I saw a few boxes in the corner. "Don't tell me you have already moved all your stuff in." That seemed a little hasty. "That is right, and you are just in time," Lucas said, pointing to the door with an arrogant air. "Hurry up and pack your things and get out of my house." I gave him a half smile. When Lucas saw I wasn't moving, he frowned, annoyed. "Do you still think you are the man of the Black family?" "I am." Isabella and I hadn't finalized the divorce. But Lucas didn't know that. He made a rude noise. "James, you are asking for it. Since you won't leave willingly, I will have to call security to throw you out." He yelled, "Security! Get James Thorne out of here!" The security guards arrived, but their attitude was still respectful toward me. "Mr. Thorne, we are going to have to ask you to leave the Black residence," Lucas corrected them. "What, Mr. Thorne? He is divorced from Miss Black. From now on, there is only one man of the Black family, and that is me, Lucas." He was back to his King of the Castle act. I silently pulled out our marriage certificate. "Lucas, you want to see what this is?" Lucas glanced at it dismissively. "It is just a divorce certificate. What is there to see?" I kindly suggested. "Why don't you take a closer look?" This time Lucas looked carefully. He froze, a hint of panic in his expression. "Didn't you and Isabella go get a divorce? Did you back out?" "How could I back out? You know I am more than happy to divorce Isabella." "Then Did Isabella back out? Lucas looked like he had been struck by lightning, his face pale. I stopped teasing him. Isabella didn't back out either. It is just that now there is a 1-month cooling-off period for divorces. If you want to show your authority as the man of the house, you can come back in a month. That is what I thought. Isabella loves me so much. Now that I am back, there is no way she wouldn't divorce you to make room for me. Lucas straightened his back, his arrogant manner returning. I smiled sweetly. Well said. Now please take your luggage and get out of my house. You. Before he could say another word, the security guards efficiently grabbed Lucas and dragged him out. His luggage was thrown out the door after him. Their treatment of him was completely different from how they had treated me. My occasional bonuses for them had clearly paid off. Mrs. Gable also brought out the bird's nest soup. Mr. Thorne, have this first. The sweet rice ball soup is on its way. The soup was very sweet. I don't usually like sweets, but this time it tasted pretty good. Mrs. Gable asked, Mr. Thorne, are you really going to divorce Miss Black? She has Lucas now. It would be rude of me to keep loving her. More importantly, I said, it would be rude to the billions of dollars I was about to receive. Mrs. Gable tried to persuade me. Mr. Thorne, maybe you should reconsider. Miss Black actually loves you very much. She has just lost her memory and is confused. Once she gets her memory back, she definitely won't have anything to do with Lucas. I covered her mouth. Mrs. Gable, don't say things like that. When her memory returned and her mind cleared, I didn't know if she would still be with Lucas, but I did know that the billions I was supposed to get would be gone. No matter how much Isabella loved Lucas, she wouldn't just hand over half her fortune to me. I quickly lit a couple of incense sticks and started praying, my eyes full of devotion. She is a confused woman who doesn't know what she is saying. She was just kidding. Please don't take her seriously. I added, and if you do, please wait until after I have successfully divorced Isabella before you make it happen. When Mrs. Gable entered the small prayer room, she saw me praying devoutly and thought I was praying for Isabella's well-being. She said with immense relief, I knew it. Mr. Thorne still has feelings for Miss Black. Before bed, I got a call from Isabella. Her voice was cold, with an accusing tone. James Thorne, did you kick Lucas out of my house? Faintly, I could hear Lucas sobbing in the background. He went crying to Isabella. I admitted it freely. Yes. Her voice grew even colder. Apologize to Lucas. Before I could say anything, Lucas's voice, dripping with fake innocence, came through the phone. It is okay, Isabella. James didn't do it on purpose. Lucas, you are just too kind, Isabella said, then turned back to me. James Thorne, apologize. I said cheerfully. Isabella, why don't you ask me why I kicked him out? Why else? Isabella said with certainty. You are resentful because I chose him over you. You don't have to think so highly of yourself. But I said, of course not. I am thrilled that Lucas is willing to take care of you. How could I hate him for that? It is just... Just what? He said the house you decorated is ugly, and he wanted to tear it all down. I couldn't stand for that. You put so much effort into decorating this house. Isabella's voice grew even colder. Really? Of course. The security guards and Mrs. Gable heard him. On the other end, Lucas was frantically trying to explain. Isabella, let me make up an excuse. No, Isabella, let me explain. The line went dead. Isabella had hung up. I was a little disappointed. Why did she hang up? I wanted to hear the rest of the drama. Isabella really had poured her heart and soul into decorating this villa. Whenever she traveled abroad for business, she would buy beautiful furniture and decorations to bring back. To be honest, her taste wasn't bad. For Lucas to question her taste and threaten to tear down the house she had worked so hard on, I didn't believe for a second that Isabella wouldn't be angry. Lucas was in for a rough night. After several failed attempts to upset me, Lucas finally quieted down for a while. I guessed he was waiting for the day of our divorce when everything was settled so he could mock me. By then, I would be the youngest billionaire in the country. Why would I care about one woman? While Isabella was recovering in the hospital, I went to work on a new film. One day, as soon as I got to the set, my assistant Ben rushed over. "James, bad news. Someone is trying to take your leading role." I thought I must have heard him wrong. Isabella was the investor for this film. If the studio replaced the male lead now, wouldn't they be offending her? If Isabella pulled her funding, could the film even continue? Ben saw my confusion. "James, it was Miss Black who told the studio to replace you. She wants Lucas to play the lead. They are on set right now." Hearing that, I couldn't just sit there. I went to find Isabella immediately. I hadn't seen her in over half a month. She was already able to walk on her own. I looked at Isabella, then at Lucas. Great. Isabella had lost weight, and so had Lucas. I could tell that Lucas had indeed been taking very good care of her. My voice was laced with anger. "Isabella, are you serious? Lucas doesn't know how to act. How can he play the lead?" Isabella's eyes were cold as she glanced at me. "Lucas wants to try, so let him. Who knows, he might have a hidden talent for it." "James, please just let me try it once. I have dreamed of being an actor my whole life." Lucas tugged at my sleeve, looking at me with pitiful, tear-filled eyes, on the verge of crying. I bet if I dared to say no, the tears would start streaming down his face. I didn't know if he had a talent for acting, but he definitely had a talent for playing the victim. "Fine, do whatever you want." The investor had spoken. My refusal wouldn't have mattered anyway. That day, I went from being the male lead to the bad guy supporting character. The moment Lucas saw the script, his face darkened. "Aren't I the male lead? How can the supporting character throw wine on me and slap me?" The director enthusiastically explained the scene. "Well, the supporting character's fiancé falls in love with you. His character is arrogant and bossy, so of course he is going to bully you to let out his anger." "Can't I be the one to slap James?" "No, you are the innocent male lead. If you slapped the supporting character, it would be out of character." Lucas had wanted to be the male lead to enjoy the fame, but after getting the script, his face visibly soured. I said with a grin, "Lucas, isn't being an actor your dream? Is that all you have got? You can't handle a little hardship?" "No, I just think the script is a bit unreasonable." Lucas subconsciously looked at Isabella, but before he could play the victim and get her to change the scene, she cut him off. "Lucas, James is right. If you want to be a good actor, you have to endure these things." Lucas bit his lip, looking upset. "I know." A while later, Lucas and I were both in costume. The director asked, "Is everyone ready?" I cracked my knuckles, eager to start. "I am ready, director." Lucas's small face turned pale. He looked like he was about to cry again. This time it wasn't an act. He was genuinely scared. "Cut!" The director walked over to Lucas and explained the scene for what felt like the 10th time. "Lucas, your emotion is wrong. You are the innocent male lead, not the hero of a revenge story. When James slaps you, you are supposed to cry. What is with that murderous glare?" Lucas was on the verge of tears. This wasn't how he had imagined acting. In his imagination, the entire crew would be praising him. Not like this. Through tour, with the director repeatedly telling him his performance was bad, and him having to do take after take. He had already done 16 takes, which meant I had thrown water on him 16 times and slapped him 16 times. Lucas complained, "Director, aren't you being a little too strict with me? I am new to acting. How am I supposed to cry on cue? Can't I just use eye drops?" The director said, No, you have the talent for it." A glimmer of a smile finally appeared on Lucas's face. He pretended to be modest. "Oh, really?" "Yes," the director praised sincerely. "You were crying quite convincingly in front of Miss Black just now." The smile vanished from Lucas's face. He suspected the director was insulting him, and he had evidence. I couldn't help but laugh. Lucas shot me a glare and walked over to Isabella, complaining pitifully. "Isabella, my face hurts from James's slaps." So he wanted to play the victim? I could do that too. I followed him and said with a pained expression, "Lucas, you think my hand doesn't hurt?" Lucas was speechless. How could that be the same thing? My interruption threw him off his game. He dropped the act and said directly, Isabella, I can't do this scene. Can you get the screenwriter to change it? Isabella tapped her fingers on the table, her eyes lowered as if seriously considering his suggestion. Ever since she woke up, she had been completely agreeable to his wishes. He never thought she would refuse, so he started to relax. Then he heard her say coolly, "You should quit." "Isabella, I knew you couldn't bear to see me suffer. Wait." Lucas belatedly realized what she had said. "What did you just say?" "I said you should quit. I can see you have no talent for acting. If this show airs, it would be a cruel disservice to the show, the audience, and you." Isabella said, "Lucas, you need to have some self-awareness. If you really want to act, I can send you to drama school first." I breathed a sigh of relief. Isabella wasn't completely blinded by love after all. She still had some sense. As for Lucas, his gaze toward Isabella was now filled with resentment. He knew that once Isabella made a decision, she wouldn't change it. He could only say reluctantly, "I will do whatever you say." I thought we could finally get back to filming properly, but a couple of days later the director gave me some terrible news. Isabella had pulled her funding. Until we found a new investor, we couldn't continue shooting. It didn't take a genius to figure out that Lucas must have persuaded her to do it. I told the director, "It is fine. It is not a big deal." I counted on my fingers. In 3 more days, I could finally divorce Isabella. Then I would be rich. It didn't matter if we didn't have an investor. I would become the investor. Since I wasn't filming for the time being, I went home to rest. I hadn't been home in a few days, and I found the house unusually lively. Mrs. Gable pulled me aside. "Lucas threw a party for Miss Black to celebrate her being discharged from the hospital," she said, frowning. "Miss Black just got out of the hospital and needs to rest. This is just reckless. Mr. Thorne, please go talk to her and tell her not to go along with Lucas's nonsense." I went into the backyard and saw Isabella right away. The autumn air was crisp and wet with dew. The moonlight draped over her, making her seem cold and solitary, as if the bustling party around her had nothing to do with her. As for Lucas, he was holding a wine glass, laughing and chatting with his friends. Isabella's gaze was fixed on him, her eyes rational and cold, as if looking at a stranger, filled with scrutiny and a hint of confusion. It wasn't until she noticed me that she slowly withdrew her gaze. She said mockingly, "You finally decided to come see me?" If you listened closely, you could hear the resentment in her voice. I scoffed. "You have Lucas. What difference does it make whether I come see you or not?" If I didn't know how deeply she loved Lucas, I would have thought from her tone that she still had feelings for me. "But you did come to see me," Isabella said with certainty. "You still have me in your heart." "You are overthinking it. The only thing in my heart is your billions." Isabella pointed to the seat opposite her. "Sit." She looked like she wanted to have a serious talk with me, so I sat down. She looked at me deeply and asked quietly, "James, do I really like Lucas?" I was stunned. Didn't Isabella love Lucas to the bone? Why would she ask such a question? "Of course you do. Do you know why you married me? Because my profile looks like his?" Isabella's gaze swept over my face inch by inch before she came to a conclusion. "You two look nothing alike. Maybe your brain isn't the only thing that is broken. Your eyes must be going too." Isabella shot me a warning look and continued, "I thought I loved Lucas. That is what you all told me, but I have found that the more time I spend with him, the more I dislike him." "Oh, that just proves that women change their minds easily." "You are nothing but a heartless player," Isabella said irritably. "James, if you don't have anything nice to say, you can shut up." I made a zipping motion across my lips and said nothing. She continued, "I have been dreaming about you lately. It feels like you are the one I truly like." That was not good. I was still waiting to divorce her and get half her money. I finally got anxious. "Dreams are the opposite of reality. In fact, you can't stand me, really." "I thought so at first, too. You are heartless, inconsiderate, and you don't know how to talk nicely." But I still... The more I listened, the more my brow furrowed. Was that a compliment? It sounded more like she was insulting me. Just then, Lucas appeared. "James, you are here. Have you eaten? The food at the party today was all made by a 5-star hotel chef. You should go try some." He held a wine glass, looking relaxed and at ease, like the man of the house. His interruption cut our conversation short. She only asked me one last question. "Is there anything you want to say to me?" I actually did have something. "Isabella, don't forget we have to go to the county clerk's office in 3 days to get divorced." Isabella's face immediately darkened. She felt like her heartfelt confession had just been thrown away. She said, "Go eat your food." I immediately walked over to the food table without giving her a second glance. I was actually a little hungry. I don't know why, but I had been getting hungry easily lately, and I had been a bit bloated. This wouldn't do. I ate a small cake with tears in my eyes, silently telling myself that I would start my diet after this meal. After eating, I rubbed my slightly round belly and went for a walk by the lake to digest. Lucas followed me. I stopped. "What is it?" Lucas said gently, "James, after the divorce, can you please stay away from Isabella? Don't worry, I am not interested in getting back with an ex." I walked on slowly, noticing that Lucas was still following me. He was like a ghost, not saying a word, which was starting to freak me out. I stopped again and asked irritably, "What else do you want?" "James, since you are being so nice, could you do me one last favor?" I raised an eyebrow. Wasn't he pushing his luck? He had stolen my wife in name at least. If I agreed to everything he asked, they would have to build a statue of me for being such a pushover. Before I could refuse, Lucas glanced at something behind me, suddenly grabbed my hand and yelled, "James, don't!" As he yelled, he started pulling me toward the lake. I instantly understood what he was trying to do. He wanted to make it look like I had pushed him in. I knew what he was up to. He must have sensed that Isabella didn't love him as much as he thought. If he framed me like this, the next time I appeared in front of Isabella, she would only feel deep disgust for this vicious man. This would eliminate any chance of her old feelings for me resurfacing. Hilarious. Lucas was overthinking it. Isabella had no feelings for me at all. I was getting angry. If he wanted to jump in the lake, fine. But why did he have to drag me down with him? It was a cold night with dew on the ground. The lake water would be freezing. I couldn't afford to catch a cold. I had no intention of getting back with Isabella, and I didn't care what she thought of me anymore. I made a split-second decision. I pulled my hand free with all my might, then kicked him into the lake, muttering, "Get in there." With a splash, Lucas fell into the water. Just as I thought, the moment he hit the water, he started moving wildly, screaming, "Isabella, help me, James pushed me in. Isabella, save me." Not a bad performance. If he had shown half this acting ability on set, the director wouldn't have had to call cut so many times. But I guess this was a natural skill for him, one that only activated 100% when Isabella was around. I had no interest in watching this fake show. I turned to leave, but Lucas's cold, slippery hand grabbed my ankle. Caught completely off guard, I was dragged into the lake. As the cold, wet water closed over my head, I had only one thought. It is over. I am just damage on the side. Isabella was deeply in love with Lucas. She would definitely save him first, and they would have a tender moment. By the time they remembered me, a guy who can't swim, I would have already sunk to the bottom. I finally understood. Lucas wasn't trying to frame me. He wanted me dead. If I were dead, I would never be a threat to his position. Unexpectedly, Isabella didn't even glance at Lucas. She dived into the lake and headed straight for me. After she pulled me out, I was coughing up water and shivering from the cold. Seeing this, Isabella quickly took off her blazer and put it over my shoulders. I stared at the heavy, soaking wet jacket and fell silent. "Great job. Never do it again." I was seriously starting to suspect that Isabella hadn't just lost her memory. She had lost her mind, too. Seeing someone shivering from the cold, and then thoughtfully wrapping them in a wet piece of clothing was not something a normal person would do. Isabella seemed to realize it, too. She was silent for a few seconds, then quietly took the wet jacket back. She was probably embarrassed to have done something so stupid in front of me. She grew angry out of shame and threw the expensive custom-made jacket into the lake. The jacket landed, coincidentally, right on Lucas's head. Great! Now Lucas could feel that heavy love, too. That is right, Lucas was still moving in the lake. Look at that professional swimming form. If it weren't for the fact that he was still yelling for help, any person walking by would have thought he was just out for a swim. He was a dedicated actor. Even though Isabella and I could both see that the biggest flaw in this drama was himself, he continued to perform with a serious expression, diligently playing out his one-man show. Isabella stood beside me, watching his performance with cold eyes, showing no intention of saving him. I was surprised. "Isabella, why aren't you saving him?" "I am not blind. He can swim. And," her voice filled with a murderous rage, "he dragged you into the water." I reminded her, "He is the one you have always loved. I am just a stand-in, according to the usual script. Shouldn't the old boyfriend be right no matter what they do?" Isabella held me tighter, as if trying to merge me into her own body. Her usually calm and cold face was filled with fear. She said, "The moment he dragged you under, my heart panicked. My world plunged into endless darkness and cold, as if nothing mattered anymore. In that moment, I understood that you are the one I love. You were right. My brain is broken, and my memory has deceived me." The more I listened, the more I felt something was wrong. From what Isabella was saying, it seemed she was convinced that I was her one true love. After hearing her heartfelt confession, I had only one thought. Can we still get divorced? She wanted to say more, but I had already pulled away from her, afraid she would say she didn't want a divorce. I watched Lucas still struggling in the water, yelling for help, and a classic line popped into my head. "You can scream your lungs out, but no one is coming to save you." By the time I realized it, I had already said it out loud. Lucas fell silent. Seeing our two indifferent faces, he suddenly couldn't keep up the act. Lucas quickly swam to shore, demonstrating what it means to struggle for 10 minutes and get out in 10 seconds. The cold wind blew, and he sneezed, his body shivering. Lucas ran to Isabella and accused her. "Isabella, why didn't you save me just now? Was it because James stopped you?" His resentful gaze drifted to me. "James, how could you be so mean?" Isabella stepped in front of me. "It has nothing to do with James." Lucas was surprised she would defend me. "Then why didn't you save me?" Isabella said coldly. "I saw everything. You fell in on purpose. And you pulled James in with you." Lucas looked flustered, but he quickly calmed down. He pouted, his voice childish. "Yes, I did it on purpose. The thought of him having you for 3 years drives me crazy with jealousy. I was so afraid you would fall in love with him. You can understand that, can't you?" He said it with such confidence. He was sure that Isabella loved him and would tolerate all his bad behavior. Isabella gave him a faint smile and slowly uttered 2 words. "Get out!" Lucas was stunned, his eyes wide with disbelief. "What did you say?" He never expected that Isabella, who had always been so gentle and accommodating, would say such a thing. Even I was surprised. That was the man Isabella had been dreaming of for 3 years. Had her brain really been damaged? Isabella's voice was icy. "I said get out!" Lucas's eyes widened in shock. "Isabella, are you crazy?" Isabella shot back. "Do I look crazy to you?" Lucas suddenly panicked. He grabbed her sleeve. "Isabella, don't leave me. I only did it because I love you so much, and I am so afraid of losing you. I wanted to make James look bad so you would feel sorry for me and only love me. You will forgive me, right?" Isabella said nothing, gently brushing his hand away. Then she took out a handkerchief and carefully wiped the spot where his fingers had touched her. She looked as if he were carrying some disgusting virus. She didn't say a word, but her actions clearly showed her disgust. Lucas looked hurt and confused. "Isabella, why did you suddenly change? You loved me so much before." Isabella said calmly, "No, I haven't changed. I never loved you. It is just that when I woke up from the accident, it was like a command had been programmed into my brain. I love you, and I must be good to you. But you are vain, stupid, and mean. I really can't figure out what I ever saw in you that made me keep you around to observe." The fact is, there is nothing about you worth liking, Isabella said, looking at him suspiciously. Lucas, this sweet past you told me about, did it really exist? With every word Isabella spoke, Lucas's face grew paler. Finally, he looked away guiltily. Afraid of what else she might say, he said, "Enough, stop talking. I will leave, okay?" He covered his face and ran off, sobbing. I figured I should leave too. I had only taken a few steps when Isabella called out to me. "James Thorne, don't you have anything to say to me?" I thought for a moment, and then said slowly, "Isabella, you are a good person." The moment she heard that, her head hurt. She looked at me intensely. "Go on." Her gaze was so intense that I had to look away. "We are not right for each other. You always saw me as a substitute. When you get your memory back, you will definitely regret what you did today. You should go after Lucas before he gets too far." "Whether I go after him is my business," Isabella said, her voice turning cold. "I am talking about us." Her presence was so overwhelming that I actually felt a little scared. I couldn't help but take a step back and say with the desperation of someone with nothing to lose, "We still have to get divorced." "James Thorne, have you really thought this through?" What a joke. Did I even need to think about it? Divorcing Isabella meant getting half her fortune. Every second I hesitated was an insult to that money. My voice became much lighter. "I have thought it all through. I came to find you today to remind you. 3 days from now, 9 o'clock at the county clerk's office. Don't be late." The night was dark, the stars faint. Isabella's gaze was as cold as water. I shivered for no reason. Isabella ground her teeth. "Fine. Whoever backs out is a coward." I nodded in satisfaction. Hearing her promise put my mind at ease. I must have caught a chill because that night I came down with a cold. I also felt nauseous and kept trying to throw up, but nothing came up. I value my life, so I went to the hospital for a checkup that night. After a series of tests, the doctor came over with the report, his expression serious. "Mr. Thorne, the results are in. It is a bit complicated." I was so shocked my phone fell to the floor. Could you say that again?" The doctor handed me the report and pointed to the numbers. "The initial diagnosis is chronic kidney disease. While it is not too severe at the moment, it will require long-term medication and regular checkups." I was silent. No wonder. I had recently started craving sweets. My body was a bit swollen, and I even had a small belly. It wasn't weight gain. It was a ticking time bomb inside me. Marrying into a rich family, becoming a substitute, and now getting diagnosed with a major illness right before a divorce, I had hit every cliché in the book. My big mouth really did jinx everything. I left the hospital with a huge bag of medicine and ran right into Isabella, who was also there for a checkup. She was already weak from her previous illness, and after jumping into the freezing lake to save me and standing in the cold wind for so long, she had developed a high fever that night. When Isabella saw me coming out of the hospital, she gave me a cool glance. "Are you sick?" Seeing her, I felt a sudden wave of guilt. Isabella made a noise, didn't look at me again, and walked quickly into the hospital. I breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed she believed me. I told Dave about my illness. Dave asked, "James, are you sure about this? You are really going to handle this alone?" I insisted. "What else? Should I tell her so she can pity me?" Okay, it is your decision. So you are really going to do it alone?" "Yeah. You know my mom died young and my dad remarried. They don't love me." "Technically, I don't have any family," I said. "With this money, at least I will be financially secure for the rest of my life and can get proper treatment." It was strange. The illness came on so suddenly. But I didn't feel much fear. Instead, I had a clearer plan for the future. I knew I had to live for myself and live well. "So you are going to keep this from Isabella?" I nodded. "Yeah." Actually, on the morning of Isabella's accident, we had argued about having a child. My mind drifted back to that morning. That day I was sitting at the mirror adjusting my tie. Isabella wrapped her arms around me from behind, her warm breath on the back of my neck as she kissed me. I gently pushed her away, smiling. "Don't mess around. I have an event to get to." She leaned against me lazily, a little clingy. James, we have been married for 3 years. It is time we adopted a child. My smile faded a little. Isabella, are you still half asleep? I am serious, James. Let's adopt a child. I turned around and saw that her handsome eyes were filled with seriousness. I laughed lightly. Isabella, don't tell me you have caught feelings. Isabella straightened up, her smile gone, and looked down at me. James, we have been married for 3 years. How do you really see me? I thought about it carefully. A rich supporter? A compatible partner? In any case, I had never seen her as a wife. Neither of those answers seemed to be what she wanted to hear. The longer I was silent, the uglier her expression became. Finally, she lifted my chin and looked at me closely. James Thorne, after 3 years. Dwayne, do you really not have any feelings for me at all? I gently pushed her hand away and said without meaning it, Of course I have feelings. After all, you have been so good to me. I wasn't lying. I did have feelings for her, but just a little. The kind I could pull away from at any moment. After all, falling in love with a woman who had another man in her heart was just asking for trouble. I wasn't that stupid. Besides, every time she did something that touched me, she would always follow it up with, James, don't get the wrong idea. I am only being this good to you because you look a bit like Lucas. How could I dare to like her? Isabella said in a low voice. Then adopt a child with me. I still refused. Isabella, our situation isn't suitable for a child. Our marriage had started on a dishonest note. None. She used me as a stand-in, and I used her as a patron. If we had a child, and Lucas came back one day, who knew if the ever-devoted Isabella would betray our family? My dad had betrayed my mom. They fought for most of their lives, and she died with a broken heart. 2 days after she died, my dad eagerly married Lucas's mother and brought home his new stepson. My stepmother didn't abuse me. She just joined my dad and Lucas in ignoring and isolating me, making me feel like an outsider in my own home. I knew firsthand how painful it was for a child to be born into a loveless family. I had suffered enough for one person. I wouldn't let my child go through the same thing. At that time, Isabella gave me a deep look, her eyes full of disappointment. She looked as if I had betrayed her. She threw out a curt, I understand, and slammed the door on her way out. The next time I heard about her, she was on her way to pick up Lucas and had gotten into a car accident. I became even more certain that I had been right to refuse her that day. This woman could say she loved me and wanted to have a child with me 1 minute, and the next she could give her heart to another man. I even hated her a little, hated how casually she treated love. If I hadn't been so clear-headed, I would have fallen into her trap and been tormented by this ridiculous love. I had already made up my mind to divorce her. This illness had nothing to do with her. I was confident that I could take good care of myself, and 3 days later, just as I was about to leave for the county clerk's office, I got a call from her assistant. Mr. Thorne, miss. Black's fever won't break. She is still in the hospital and can't go with you to the county clerk's office. My good mood was instantly shattered. I stared at the ceiling without energy. Why was it so hard to get a divorce? The assistant continued. Mr. Thorne, Miss Black keeps calling your name. Do you want to go see her? No, thanks. What she needs right now is a doctor, not me. Let me know when she wakes up. The assistant sighed. I understand. Since I wasn't filming lately, I had time to focus on my health. A week later, the director called me excitedly. James, great news! We found an investor for our show. We can start filming again next week. I looked at my pile of medicine. It was difficult, but with my health, I couldn't act anymore. Fortunately, the show had only been filming for a couple of days, so my withdrawal wouldn't cause too much of a loss for the production. I told the director the truth. Director, I have some health issues. I can't do this show anymore. You should find another actor. I will compensate the production for any losses. But James, the investor really likes your acting and specifically requested you. If you are not in the show, she might pull her funding. The director suggested. How about this? We will treat the investor to dinner and you can explain the situation to her in person. If you talk to her nicely, she will definitely understand and might not pull her funding. Okay? That night I went to the private room we had booked. When I saw the woman sitting there, my expression immediately turned sour. It was my ex-girlfriend, Sophia, who had been abroad for almost 4 years. Naitum, our breakup had not been a pleasant experience. Even after 3 or 4 years, I still hated her. When Sophia saw me, she smiled gently. "James, you are here. Come sit." The director, hearing her familiar tone, laughed. "Oh, so you two know each other." Sophia's gentle gaze swept over my face very carefully. She said, "It has been a few years. You have gotten even more handsome, James." I said sarcastically, "It has been a few years, and you have certainly become more glamorous." Sophia had a flawlessly beautiful face. That was why back in college I had agreed to date her out of all her suitors. Dave had called me shallow back then, saying Sophia was nothing but a pretty face. Dating a poor student like her would be boring. I remember my reply. How could it be boring? Just looking at her face made me happy. It turned out I was too naive back then. I ended up getting badly burned by her. After all these years, Sophia had shed her student-like innocence. She carried herself with a calm and confident air, giving off an aura of wealth. Her face, I had to admit, was even more beautiful than before. But now, just looking at her face annoyed me. Sophia wasn't offended by my words. Just like she used to, she silently rinsed the bowl and chopsticks with hot water before placing them in front of me. Sophia said thoughtfully, "James, I ordered your old favorites. I don't know if your tastes have changed." She placed the menu in front of me. "See if there is anything else you want to order." I said without energy, "No, this is fine." During the meal, the director brought up the purpose of the dinner. "So the thing is, due to health reasons, James is no longer able to star in this show. I know you invested in this show because of him, so I wanted to let you know." Sophia glanced at the director casually. "You are hoping I will continue to invest, is that right?" "Yes." Sophia asked me, "James, what do you think?" I forced a smile. "Of course I hope you will continue to support our show." "Then we will do as James says." The director, relieved that the matter was settled, made an excuse to step out, leaving us alone. Sophia looked at me with an unreadable expression, her face serious. "James, divorce Isabella and get back together with me. I have money now. I can give you a good life. I heard Isabella hasn't been treating you well these past few years, and recently she even brought Lucas back home." Before I could answer, the door was thrown open. I turned to see Isabella standing there. She looked furious. "Sophia, what are you dreaming about? James is mine!" I was startled by her sudden appearance. Then I noticed her eyes were clear, not cloudy and confused like before. I immediately understood. "Isabella, you got your memory back?" "Yes." My first thought was, oh no. Since she had her memory back, she would definitely remember the property agreement we signed. She would never let me get that half of the settlement. My dream of becoming a billionaire was about to be shattered. My second thought was, wait a minute. Since she had her memory back, why was she here fighting with my ex instead of running to her old flame Lucas? Was it just a woman's strange possessiveness? "When rivals meet, sparks fly," Sophia sneered. "Isabella, James won't be yours for long. If I remember correctly, Tahuam, you have been trying to divorce him and he agreed, right?" "That was because I had amnesia and my memory was confused. I mistook Lucas for James." "Ha, as if you love James so much. If I remember correctly, you only married him because he looks like Lucas." I sat there watching the two women fight over me while I ate the fruit platter. When I heard Sophia's retort, I secretly nodded. "Sophia, from this day on, you are my spokesperson." Isabella asked, "Do you think James looks like Lucas?" Sophia answered without hesitation. "Of course not," she sneered. "I don't know how blind you have to be to think they look alike." Isabella nodded. "In my heart, James has always been one of a kind. I never saw him as a substitute for Lucas." "Ha, you are the only one who believes that." I nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly." Isabella noticed that I didn't believe her either. She looked at me, silent for a few seconds, as if she had finally made a decision. She let out a slow breath and said with difficulty, "James, from the very beginning you were the one I liked, but I knew you had Sophia in your heart. Back then I was too proud and competitive, so I said that I was using you as a substitute for Lucas. It was as if by saying that, I wouldn't be the weaker one in our relationship." My eyes widened slightly. I had Sophia in my heart? What on earth had I done to give her that impression? I wished Sophia would drop dead, but I still didn't quite believe what Isabella was saying. I swallowed a piece of watermelon and said slowly, "But the moment Lucas came back, you went to pick him up." At the mention of this, Isabella shot Sophia a fierce glare. "I wasn't going to pick up Lucas. I was going to settle a score with Sophia." It turned out that was the day Sophia had returned to the country as well. She had sent me a text telling me she was back and wanted to see me. She had heard that Isabella wasn't treating me well. Now that she was successful, she could give me a good future, and she hoped I would reconsider being with her. In short, she was trying to get me to break up with Isabella and get back with her. That day, Isabella saw the text, was furious, and secretly deleted it. At the same time, a deep sense of insecurity washed over her. Sophia was back, and she would eventually find me. Isabella was afraid we would rekindle our old flame. So that day, she suddenly suggested we have a child. She thought that for the sake of the child, I would settle down and be with her. But I refused. This only confirmed to Isabella that I still had feelings for Sophia and didn't want to have a child with her. After our unhappy exchange, Isabella stormed out, furious to find Sophia and warn her to stay away from me. On her way to the airport, she got into the car accident and was found by Lucas. After she woke up, her memory was jumbled, and she mistakenly believed she loved Lucas, and was on her way to the airport to find him, and the vain Lucas went along with the lie. What Isabella said sounded absurd, but there was a strange logic to it. I asked Sophia, "Did you really send me a text?" Sophia nodded, her gaze gentle. "James, I never knew you had been thinking of me all these years." I immediately retorted, "How could I be thinking of you? I wish you were dead." Sophia didn't believe me. I believe my rival wouldn't lie to me. I was confused. "Isabella, I haven't mentioned Sophia once in all these years. Why did you think I was still in love with her?" Isabella replied, "I visited you on set a few times, and often saw you staring at Sophia's college photos for a long time." I was speechless. I was doing that for my acting. Whenever I couldn't get into character, I would look at her picture. The thought of how she not only played with my feelings but also stole my money would bring up all the sadness, anger, and grief I needed. Then when I did a scene with someone, the emotions would come naturally. It was my way of recycling an ex. I really did hate Sophia. Back then, we had planned to get married after graduation. But then she took off to study abroad without a word, and even stole a valuable watch my mother had left me to fund her trip. She had the audacity to claim she was doing it so she could give me a better future when she returned. I was furious. Playing with my feelings was one thing, but stealing my money was another. Even though she later earned money, bought back the watch, and returned it to me, I still hated her. It was the first time I had been so thoroughly screwed over by a woman. After the truth came out, a look of regret appeared on Isabella's face. She hated that she had been too proud to admit she loved me, causing me to misunderstand her for so many years and nearly leading us to divorce. As for Sophia, she looked at me with sad eyes. "James, is there really no chance for us?" "I only did what I did back then because I wanted to give you a better future." I said bluntly, "Just looking at you now makes me sick." The moment the words left my mouth, I felt a wave of nausea and threw up into the trash can. Isabella gently patted my back to make me more comfortable. After I was done, she gently and patiently wiped the corner of my mouth, not at all disgusted. She was worried about my health and insisted on taking me to the hospital for a full checkup. With everything out in the open, I realized that Isabella might actually love me quite a bit. But thinking about everything she had done, I couldn't bring myself to feel anything good for her. Once we got to the hospital, there would be no hiding my illness anyway. So in the car, I told her directly, "Isabella, I am sick." Isabella froze and pulled the car over to the side of the road. Her eyes were filled with pain. "No." I pulled my coat tighter and pushed her hand away, my face cold. Isabella was stunned. "James, do you still hate me?" "Isn't it obvious? Shouldn't I hate you? Do you think that just because you say you love me, I should be moved to tears?" I glanced at her and sneered. "I just think you are an idiot. If you suspected I was still hung up on Sophia, couldn't you have just asked? Are you mute?" Thankfully, while Isabella didn't have a voice, I didn't have a heart. If I were some damsel in distress protagonist, my heart would have been stabbed 1,000 times by her cold and heartless behavior. Liking women is less reliable than liking money. Money won't betray you, and it can buy you happiness. Isabella's voice was hoarse. I didn't give her a chance to continue. "Do you think you are so noble, marrying me even though my heart belonged to someone else? You probably felt wronged all the time, so whenever you were unhappy you would take a jab at me, reminding me of my place, that I was just a substitute. You felt wronged. But what about me who knew nothing about it? Didn't I feel wronged too?" To be fair, Isabella had been good to me. For one thing, she had funded several of my film and TV projects. My mother died young, and my father and stepmother focused all their attention on Lucas, so I was a bit starved for love. Sometimes I would think, maybe Isabella does love me. But then she would hit me with a cold reminder that I was just a substitute and needed to know my place, and it would leave a dull ache in my heart. Over time, I stopped having any expectations and just saw her as my patron. Isabella's face was pale, revealing a rare vulnerability. "James, what do I have to do for you to forgive me?" "Divorce me and give me the money according to the agreement. Stay true to the original goal." I felt that no matter how many times Isabella said she loved me, it was less tangible than a pile of cash. "No," Isabella refused flatly. "I almost lost you once. I will never let you go. Who said divorce is the end? This is a new beginning for us. I have always felt our marriage was too rushed, too childish. I propose. Why don't we start over? You can pursue me again and make up for the pain I suffered in this marriage. We can be like a normal couple, date, and then get married." Isabella looked at me suspiciously. "What if you don't marry me again?" I tried to persuade her. "Isabella, haven't you heard the saying, the way to test if a woman loves you is to see if she is willing to stay with you when you are down on your luck? You have just gotten your memory back, and you are on top of the world, while I have just been diagnosed with this illness. When you had amnesia and were entangled with Lucas, I never gave up on our marriage. Doesn't that prove my feelings for you?" My eyes turned red and I looked upset. Isabella looked at me deeply, then finally sighed as if she was powerless against me. "Okay, I agree." I almost burst out laughing. Luckily, I was a professional actor. I held it in. That day, Isabella and I got our divorce certificate. A week later, the lawyers divided the assets according to the agreement we had signed. A month later, where $23.5 billion landed in my bank account, I became the youngest single billionaire. 3 years later, I became one of the most sought-after directors. Acting became a side hustle. When I first got sick, I was bored and read a lot of novels, which gave me the idea to adapt them into films and TV shows. Conveniently, I had the time and money, so I spent a fortune buying the rights and turning them into scripts. I cast actors who fit the original characters' images. The actors I hired were expensive, but that was their only flaw. And for me, that wasn't a big problem. I had money, and I could be as whimsical as I wanted. With solid scripts and perfect casting, every show I directed was a hit. The original fans were happy, the audience was happy, and my wallet was happy. This led to a problem. Some young beauties would often try to get close to me in hopes of getting a role in my shows. To be honest, they were all very easy on the eyes. In those situations, I would invite them all over to my house to play werewolf. Forever young, forever in love with werewolf. One day the doorbell rang. My son, Liam, went to open the door with his nanny. It was Isabella. "Aunt Isabella, you are here." Isabella pinched Liam's cheek and handed him a gift. How many times have I told you? You have to call me Mommy. Liam said in a sweet, childish voice. My dad said that until you two get married again, you are my aunt. Isabella knelt down. Liam, you have to convince your dad. It has been 3 years. He should have forgiven me by now. Don't you want a mommy? Liam smiled. No. I like the other ladies who come to our house better. They are younger and prettier than you. Isabella laughed in frustration. You little rascal, just like your father. I heard Isabella's voice and called out, Isabella, come on in. Isabella's face lit up. After 3 years, was I finally ready to forgive her? When she opened the living room door, her face darkened. It wasn't just me. There were 2 young beauties with me. She asked in a low voice, What did you want me for? I patted the empty seat next to me. You are just in time. We are playing mahjong and we are short 1 player. Just for that? I smiled. Are you in or out? Isabella ground her teeth, her eyes looking like she wanted to eat me alive. I am in? Late at night, the mahjong game finally ended. Isabella asked me, James, it has been 3 years. When are you going to forgive me and accept me? I said, we will see. After all, life as a single, rich bachelor is just too good.